Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel that takes on narcissism and narcissistic relationships and healing from these relationships. So I'm going to ask you a question. In your narcissistic relationship, you're trying to figure it out. Maybe it's been a while. Has anyone ever said to you, oh, come on, now let it go. Stop holding a grudge. Drop it in the comments if that's ever happened to you. Lots of survivors hear this, right? This idea of stop holding a grudge. It's certainly something you may have heard from narcissistic people themselves, or the folks around you who are enably, or just people who don't get it. Stop holding a grudge. Now, I know many survivors run into this, and narcissistic people have a real advantage with this line of thinking. They'll come out with stuff like, oh God, after they do something bad or say something bad, they'll say, can't you just let it go? Stop holding a grudge. Oh, why do you always hold on to things? So maybe we need to start out here and be a little bit clear on what a grudge is. A grudge is an ongoing sense of resentment or bad blood against someone who you perceived as behaving badly towards you. We generally think of grudges as bad things, and that moving past a grudge and moving on is the optimal way to go. And I got to tell you, at many levels, I don't disagree with that. If we did indeed hold a grudge against every single person that has ever done something wrong to us, we wouldn't be able to get out of the bed. We wouldn't be able to get out of bed in the morning. People, all of us, everyone from time to time has done bad, insensitive, careless stuff. We experience that stuff all the time. The measure of a healthy relationship is to be able to communicate about it and move forward and take accountability and all of that. And I definitely believe we can let go of grudges if there is some form and attempt at accountability and repair. A person apologizes to you, they take responsibility, they recognize you were hurt, and most pointedly, they don't repeat the behavior again. I think under those conditions, if a person that hurt you makes it right and takes ownership, to keep holding a grudge long after that can be unhealthy and certainly can stymie any relationship from moving forward. I get that. But then we have the so-called grudges that we may hold in narcissistic relationships. I'm not even sure it's the right word there. And grudginess is a really messy space in narcissistic relationships. Narcissistic people repeatedly do bad stuff. They invalidate, manipulate, gaslight, lie, cheat, minimize, criticize, they have contempt for you. Then, after those gaslighty, lying, minimizing days, there are the normal days. The days when you calibrate. You start to doubt yourself. Maybe this isn't so bad. You wonder if actually it's you. You wonder if is it me? You think you're being too impulsive when you wanted out or you wanted to skip the holidays. And then the bad behavior starts again. Grudges get complicated because you may have them in the narcissistic relationship and then drop them, and then have them and then drop them. But once it happens enough times, enough backing and forthing, enough deals that you make with yourself, if they cheat one more time, if they ruin one more family event, if my boss gives me one more unreasonable deadline, then I'm gonna go. And then there's a good day and you justify. But the cycle in a narcissistic relationship may be that you stay in the relationship but find it hard to let go of their repeated offenses. And that may mean that people brand you as holding a grudge. You may even judge yourself for holding a grudge, like, oh, I can't let go of this long list of things they did. Is it holding a grudge if it's about someone who has hurt you over and over again? Or it doesn't change? Those very people who label you as a grudge holder will also label you as not giving it enough of a chance if you leave, so frankly, there's no winning. Grudges have a bad brand. When we think about a grudge, we think of someone who's sullenly stewing, and instead of thinking of it as a grudge in your narcissistic relationship, even when people around you are saying that you're holding a grudge, maybe you could start framing it as awareness. It's a step toward radical acceptance, and it may shape things where instead of feeling angry, you may be in a place where you can frame it as, this is how this relationship will be. because that can help you be more prepared when it goes down again, because it will go down again. They will behave badly. And be more discerning about whom you share your struggles with. Lots of people don't like hearing about narcissistic relationships. It feels negative, and it doesn't suit a lot of people's worldview. Your job isn't to validate someone else's worldview. It's far more important that you see things in your life clearly, painful as it may be, so you can take that so-called grudge and turn it into wisdom. So when someone tells you to stop holding a grudge, in some ways what they want you to do is have some sort of memory eraser, where you sort of forget about everything and kind of wake up each morning like you have no history behind you. Listen, that would be an interesting way to go through life. But how many times you need to have the door slammed on your fingers before you realize, like, oh, it's probably not a good place for my hand to stick your hand on that hot stove, to be Charlie Brown with the football? How many times you need to keep doing that? In fact, I got to say, as a kid, I actually lost a lot of patience with Charlie Brown. Much as I felt for him, I was like, come on, man. Like, you should be angrier at Lucy. That's a very appropriate emotion. So, just as if you're young enough to know what Charlie Brown and Lucy were, to know that, yeah, Charlie Brown had warranted anger, and even enough to hold a grudge against Lucy, but he kept going in. That was enough to frustrate all of us, and may very well have been a foreshadowing for the adult narcissistic relationships we were about to enter. Thanks again.